Hey there, welcome back to the live Support Ops Hangout. I'm your host, Chase Clemens. Each week we talk about all the things that go into basically making you a customer support pro. So we touch on things like how to do refunds, all the way up to like more higher level stuff, like how to manage a support team. This week is going to be a fun one because we're doing a rapid fire episode. But before we dive into that, let's go ahead and meet the rest of the panel. So Jeff is out this week. He's off vacationing somewhere exotic, I'm sure, and just having a blast and everything. But with us is Chase Livingston from Automatic First. We've got Bufferland. We don't have like Automatic Land. Is that a thing?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, coined it here first. If Matt doesn't like it, tough luck.
Tough luck. Things are good though. Thanks for asking.
And then Carolyn, we were just talking earlier, Chase and I were talking about how we need like an online app or something that's basically where in the world is Carolyn, just so we know where you are. But yeah, so it's New York, and how's Bufferland?
It's great. Bufferland just got a little bit more distributed. We had a whole bunch of people in New York, and now everybody's scattering again. So we're back to actually having no office again.
Yay, that's awesome. I mean, that's what I was still. I'll make sure to put in the show notes. But if you haven't read about how Buffer basically just like gave up their office space and went totally remote across the board, you should read it because it's pretty freaking awesome. Cool. So this week we're doing a rapid fire episode. If you haven't seen one of these before, basically what happens is we collect all sorts of kind of shorter questions that don't really need a full episode devoted to them, and then we tackle those and get to as many of them as we can. So kind of Q&A with all of us, but yeah, whatever. We call it rapid fire. So if you haven't seen it, then watch the show and you'll quickly figure out what it's like. So Carolyn, you get the first one. First, we have to check in with Carolyn. What's your pirate joke this week? Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way.
I am not going to tell my joke right now because it's supposed to be a rapid fire question.
Okay, fine. I wanted to make sure.
So
I didn't know if you had
prepared since I only prepared one.
Okay, I didn't know if you had like multiples and we like needed to get some out of the system or that kind of thing.
I will work on it. Come back to me.
All right, well, we'll give you the first real question anyway. So, first one up from Tim. Tim says, or ask rather, your app just went down and you don't know why yet. What's the first tweet or the first status message out to your customers say?
I know the answer to this because we do this all the time. So sorry for the interruption in your day. Apologize for the outcome for them, not the cause. So we don't say so sorry we're down. We say so sorry you can't work. We're investigating. We'll report back at this time.
Nice. So sorry for the problem that you're causing them, and then we're going to get back when we know what's going on. I like it. Livingston, I guess Jetpack doesn't go down a ton, but if it does.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would say something similar, but yeah, if essentially if WordPress.com went down, that would be a major portion of the internet. So, knock on wood.
25%. That's all.
Yeah, knock on wood that hasn't happened in a while. But yeah, I mean, definitely something similar along those lines. Probably, profusely apologizing because that would mean sites like TechCrunch and huge sites like that would be down as well. So, yeah, that would be a major issue for sure.
Yeah, and I think on the Basecamp side, so. With our status site, it's kind of cool the way that our ops gents have set it up. They're just crazy smart. So what they do is they have automatic checks back to Basecamp. So the moment one of those checks fails, the status site already flips over and says, "Hey, Basecamp's having problems. We're looking into it." So it's automatic first, which is really nice because usually that will let us know that Basecamp is down. It's that quick, so we can kind of focus on getting a Twitter message out and everything else. But same thing along the lines of what Carolyn said. Sorry for the problem. If we know what it is, we can kind of let people know, but make sure to humanize it, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, cluster EO45 went down. Like tell them, how it affects them, and if you know that. But most importantly, just tell them, we know something's wrong and we're looking into it. I would also mention stay away from sorry for the inconvenience, we apologize for the inconvenience, anything with inconvenience in general. Just don't say it, like banish that word from your dictionary, your customer support dictionary. And yeah, just kind of, make sure you're quick to put the message out. Don't let your app be down for 30 minutes and then post something. Like, don't do that. Next up from Shayna Livingston. We'll start with you on this one. What's on your reading list right now?
So I'm actually not reading a ton of books right now, to be honest. I haven't had a whole lot of time for books with some craziness in Jetpack Land and that kind of thing. Trying to think, there was one that was recommended to me recently. I'll have to look up the title and get it to you, but there are definitely several that I'd like to read, but not something that I've gotten around to recently, I'm afraid.
Yeah, Carolyn. So Buffer is huge with reading. I'll make sure to link in the Buffer Pinterest board or whatever it is, so people can see what you are reading. But yeah, what's on your list?
Right now, I'm reading The Alchemist and The Lean Startup because I need to read a fiction book and a businessy, thinky book at the same time. Because if I read the businessy, thinky book before bed, I don't sleep. On my list to read, which I have not allowed myself to get yet because I have too many books I haven't yet read, but that my whole team is raving about right now is a book called Badass, Making Users Awesome. I personally have not even cracked it open yet, so I have no idea, but they're all talking about it and sharing bits and excerpts back and forth, so that seems to be a hit in the team.
Nice. For mine, I'm kind of like Carolyn. So right now I'm reading, what's it called? Silo? Is that the name of it? I feel like really bad for not knowing this, but basically it's in a bunch of silos. So I think I'm just going to pull up my Kindle real quick so I can get this, because otherwise I'll get emails about it being the wrong thing.
I feel like such a slacker now that apparently I'm the one behind on all this reading.
So yeah, Silo by Hugh Howey. That's my fiction pick right now, just because yeah, like Carolyn said, when you're like winding down, that's kind of what you want, right? You want something that's not all businessy and nonfiction and stuff. So that's my pick for right now. The other one that I've got queued up as my kind of nonfiction thing, Reclaiming Conversation by Sherry Turkle. It kind of went around in our internal, like, what are your reading lists with Basecamp, and got a lot of interest in it. So those are the ones I'm reading. We'll have all those up in the show notes so you can check those out. And yeah, Chase, so you can add them to your reading list.
Yeah, I've got quite a few now that I need to get started on, apparently.
You read articles.
I do read a lot, yeah. It's just I haven't had time to start a really good book in a little while. I read The Martian recently, actually. It was really good, but I finished that one, so I didn't want to include it. But that's probably one of my favorite books of all time was The Martian.
Have you seen the movie yet?
No, I haven't. I don't know. I mean, I want to see the movie, but sometimes the movies are just so much worse than the book that I don't know if I want to ruin the book for myself. So.
Oh wow, Carolyn's just like 2 thumbs down there.
That was only 1 thumb.
I'm sorry.
Great.
Just one.
Unless you really loved the book, then I think the movie was only okay.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I want to see it. I'm sure I'll see it eventually.
Yeah, my brother was asking me about it because my wife and I really loved it. We were raving about the book. We haven't seen the movie yet. So basically, he was like, well, what's it about? And I was like, look, and I think I saw this somewhere on the internet, which is where I stole it from. But I was like,
XKCD.
Maybe, yeah, it was there. Because it was basically like, if you like that whole sciencey shit part of Apollo 13, where they're like, we've got this filter and we've got this duct tape. How do we do stuff? Then you'll like it. And it was totally not a book for him. DC, that's where it was. Props, Carolyn just pulled that out like.
We're obsessed. The whole Buffer team's obsessed, and the whole Compress family.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, those are books wise, but also, especially when we talk about customer support related stuff, there are some books out there, but a lot of times I'm kind of like Chase Livingston mentioned, those tend to be like articles and blog posts and other podcasts. So yeah, that's why I don't read a bunch of like support books. They're just not there. All right, next question. Sorry, I was looking back to my list. Carolyn, we'll start with you on this one. Jane says, I'm stepping into my first manager role. What's one piece of advice for a new support team manager?
So it was really hard to narrow this down. So this is not particularly so much of an epiphany. It's just like a really, really tactical suggestion because I like it. But would love to talk more about this as maybe a whole show. But Not this particular thing, but like, how do you tell, what do you wish you did or whatever? Anyway, my suggestion is to have really, really specific place and time for feedback. So we give feedback and we receive feedback, obviously, constantly. And I am a lot happier, I realize, when, especially when I'm on the receiving end, when like there's a specific time in the meeting to receive feedback and there's a meeting for it, and it's not just like every time you get a DM from your manager, you're like, oh, did I do something wrong? Like, it just makes all conversations and like random pings a lot more fun and enjoyable when there's like, this is the time and the place that we do feedback. I mean, we do like real-time stuff for like work, like, oh, hey, I noticed this one thing. I think the answer is this other thing in case, you know, I saw this tweet in case you want to, like, that's not really feedback. If it's like feedback, then I like it a lot better when it's like really organized and you know it and you're prepared for it and you like, maybe it's even on the agenda, you like prepare your heart and your mind for it and you're like in the right state of mind.
Yeah, absolutely agree. That's one of those where it's always like the ping out of nowhere from somebody that's like, hey, and your first thought is like, oh, geez, what now?
Yeah.
And
The
then
more you can avoid that, the better.
It's always worse if like that ping is like left empty for like 10, 15 minutes and it's just, hey. And so you're sitting there going, what do I do? I don't know. So yeah, specific time, place, I like that. Livingston, what's your one there?
Yeah, I mean, so we're very similar to that, you know, at Automatic and that kind of thing. We have, you know, regular, like, yearly feedback is, like, you know, a major thing for everybody, like yearly talks and things like that with your team lead. But then as far as, like, ongoing feedback and throughout the year, we have, at least in my team, and I think most teams have it scheduled, like, either weekly or every other week, just check-ins with our team lead. And so that's a time for us to share feedback with them, you know, like things they could be doing maybe to help us and vice versa for them to share, you know, feedback with us. So very similar.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the big thing, especially if your team hasn't had a manager before and you step into that manager role, things get really real really quick. And being able to set some of those boundaries is going to help out a lot. My piece of you would think that since I was collecting these questions, like I would have prepped beforehand and actually thought through some of them. True fact, didn't. Just because I'm usually the one answering these questions rather than asking the questions rather than answering. Biggest piece if I'm stepping in as a new manager. I would say that your tendency as a new manager is probably going to be to try the latest, shiniest, newest thing, right? The newest app, the newest method, the newest whatever that you like read in some manager book as you're trying to prep for stepping into that role. Don't do it. Don't do it in the first like couple of weeks, couple of months. Like you know, just get a feel for what being a new manager is like. Give your team the opportunity and most importantly the time to get accustomed to like you being a team lead, a team manager now, rather than whatever you were before. And then you can kind of start slowly working in things. Don't rock the boat when you start. That's what it is at the end of the day. Like, take your time. The team's going to be there in the next couple of months. You're not going to like just all go crazy just because you didn't try that brand new thing that you heard about at the manager conference. So yeah, that's my piece. I'm sure we're going to get like emails now of like, no, I've been managers for like 30 years. Here's what my piece is. Yeah.
I have another one.
Do it.
Can I do one more to that?
Yes.
I would say to get us slightly away from the tactical and more like how to prepare your mind and your heart. Be prepared and get excited for being the worst one at support really soon. Your measures of success are going to change so drastically, and you need to prepare for that. Like when suddenly you don't know any of the answers to the questions and your numbers are the worst, and like you do the least support and you suck at it the most, that's like a really good sign in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably getting harder cases at that point when you do take a case, right? So, I mean, easy stuff is being handled by your first line kind of people, but once once a case gets to your attention, it's probably because something busted down below and something's not working. So now you've got an angry customer that you've got to make happy. So if you use some kind of like happiness rating and that kind of thing, you're probably going to have lower numbers just because you're not doing as many and because you're getting tougher cases. So yeah, don't freak out. I like that. That sounds like personal experience, Carolyn.
No, it's not even. It's less even because you get the harder cases. It's more because they're not your customers anymore. Your customers are now the people who are taking care of the customers.
I like that, but I'm going to push you on that just a little bit.
Okay.
Because, yeah, your job at that point, and we're going to try to keep this from derailing into like non-rapid fire stuff, but yeah, that's an interesting one. So kind of talk about how you arrived at that. Did you just wake up one day and you went, yeah, my team is now like the big focus rather than my customers? Like, what kind of walk me through like when you woke up one day and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of gradual, but yeah, I have to put them first above everything else, and that's the way to be the most effective at my job and help them be the most effective at their job and support the business goals and support the culture and all these things. So they come first to me, above the like customers of the company, because their customers, I mean, it's a trickle down. Like, obviously I'm taking care of Buffer's customers by taking care of the people who take care of Buffer's customers, but yeah, they come first for me. So it's just a shift.
That's killer. That's going to be a whole show in the future. Just get ready for it. Like, yeah. Cool. All right, so that's those. Next one from Mark. And let me just kind of preface this, wrap up that one real quick by saying, look, some of these are going to evolve into like future episodes. That's fine. We're not going to like cover everything in a rapid fire. So who had that question? Jane. Make sure to tune in, and I've got your email, so I'll make sure you know about it. Make sure to tune in too when we hit that bigger topic in a future episode. Next, Mark. And Livingston, we'll start with you on this one. Mark says, ask, what's one of your favorite support/help sites at the moment?
I guess, is he asking like people writing about support or help sites? Is that what do you guys, how do you want to answer that?
Let's do both. Let's do like who's somebody that you think is doing a really job writing about the world of support and kind of the things that we're doing, and then two, like what company do you think has really just knocked it out of the park when it comes to their knowledge base and their help site?
Okay. I guess as far as like writing about customer support, I really enjoy Help Scout and the things that they write about customer support. I mean, I can name. I mean, we all could name several of them, but I think that's the one I'm gonna go with. And then as far as like somebody's support site, I guess since Jeff's not here, I'll plug Wistia. I'm not much of even a Wistia user, but I have perused their support site and looked through all the articles because I hear everybody talk about them so often. So to get some ideas and things like that. So yeah, I'll go with Wistia.
Why did you steal mine? The one thing that I've been thinking about.
Sorry.
Oh, that's cool. It's cool. I know other ones. It's fine. Carolyn, yeah, what's your take?
Yeah, I'm mostly listening on this one. I have support driven as mine, but I was looking forward to the other answers. I don't really. I read support driven when they send an email, but I don't. I'm not as ingrained in that community as I would like, and I don't really have a super deep tie to any of them. So I'm excited to remedy that. So support driven, and in terms of who's doing it well. I really don't have an answer for that. The first thing that came to mind was Simple Bank, because they do support well, but that's not the same as having a good knowledge base. I don't know the answer to that, so I'm going to pass on that one.
Who gets to pass? Is that an option?
That's a new question. That wasn't in the list.
Oh, sometimes you just have to have a little fun.
I'm passing only on part 2 of the question. I gave support driven for the first one.
All right, cool. My turn. So who's writing really, really well about support at the moment? I think Help Scout was a great one. That was.
I had that too.
yeah, I mean they're knocking it out of the park. Just doing a really really fantastic job there. The other one that's kind of newer, that's kind of come across my scale in the last couple of months, I guess. Kayako, probably saying it horribly wrong. But their blog has been really cool. I don't. It's one of those where, and I think this is kind of one of those things where it applies for everything. They produce really great high quality content that sometimes makes me question what I think, which is really cool. So they do a really great job of this is what we think and kind of telling you why they think that. So it's really cool to kind of see that thought process play out. So I'd say them as far as like who's writing really well about the customer support and that kind of thing in general. Great help site. Seriously, Chase, you stole Wistia. That was going to be my because their community site is knocking it out of the park. It really is.
Yeah. Well, you could always shout out, WordPress.com or.
We just like shouting out our own stuff. That's cool. We're
Totally.
great at what we do.
Totally
that
joking.
kind of thing.
Really.
Like I was trying to seriously go through and think of like what support site I've used recently that really just made an impact. Yeah, I think I gave this answer the last time, so I kind of feel like I'm copping out. But Mailchimp, that's still one of those that's a really, really solid help site that I kind of go back to just to kind of see how they're doing things because they're in a unique situation. Sometimes it's frustrating. I think we've talked about it on the show before, where if you're a free customer of Mailchimp, they direct you into the help site and hide all the contact them info. And when you do that, your help site has to be really, really solid, and theirs is. I don't think there's ever been a situation where like I had to figure something out and couldn't from the site. So I'd probably say them. Kudos to them, just because the help site's really great, and the guides and everything they do is really cool as well. So yeah, that's my two there. Okay, Carolyn, we'll go ahead since this was a shout out question that we were talking about from Sam. Please, please, please. Each of you need to give us your best joke. So,
Okay.
Carolyn.
Oh, man. It's putting me on the spot.
Okay, I'll go first. You can think about it. I blatantly refuse to choose a favorite joke, but I will give you the first one that came to mind when I read this question, if that will do. But I can't, it's like choosing a favorite child. I can't choose a favorite joke. Okay, you ready?
Right. So, wait. Let me prepare myself now and just. Okay, I'm ready.
You have to guess also.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to tell you the answer. Okay. What does a dyslexic, agnostic, insomniac do?
A dyslexic, agnostic, insomniac. I don't know. Livingston, you?
I'm trying to. No, I don't know.
All right. What do they do?
Stays up all night wondering if there is a dog. Yes,
Oh my
you laughed.
Boom.
Wow.
Oh, that was fantastic. Oh,
Thank you.
So good. Yeah, Chase, you got one? You're gonna be a future dad. Your dad joke game has to be on point.
So I got like Kara. I don't know. I can't come up with a favorite one right off the top of my head, but so props to Adam Heckler for this one because he did this for one of these for his Flash Talk. It's not really a joke as much as it is just a corny statement. But this is definitely a good dad joke. So I think the gist of what he said is. Instead of calling a bed, it's essentially a shelf that you put your body on when you go to sleep. Because you put things away on a shelf. That's essentially what a bed is for your body, is a shelf that you put it on when you sleep.
I like it. That's a good baseline. So now we can gauge all your future dad jokes by that.
Yeah, they've got to get better than that.
All right. So I gave you my corner one. That was probably the best dad joke that I've had in a long time. And for anybody that's listening to this, if you didn't hear it, then go back. I think it was one episode ago, where that was kind of Carolyn started it with a pirate joke, so we went down from there. Sorry, my joke this time. What is a dinosaur's? Which one of Santa's reindeers is the least favorite if you're a dinosaur?
Wait, don't tell us yet.
So if you're a dinosaur, which reindeer do you not? Which reindeer is your least favorite? Oh, this is great. You've got to watch the YouTube because you can see them going through the reindeer in their heads.
Yeah, I can't even think of all the reindeer's names.
There was Dasher and Dancer. Come on.
Comet!
Comet!
Yep, I get it now.
Comet.
Yeah!
Comet is the least favorite. Which,
That
if you're
is a hilarious joke.
I need to write that one down.
Full
I told my wife that one, and we devolved into, well, the conversation fell into, well, is it a comet or is it more of a meteor? Or is it a meteorite or like an asteroid?
Don't science it up. Just
we
enjoy.
totally scienced it up. So yeah, that was my new favorite one I'm pulling out all the time, along with my less favorite, but still was amusing. Which state in the U.S. has the smallest soft drinks?
Wait.
Which state in the U.S. has the smallest soft drinks?
I know this one.
Do you really know it?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say it because I think I've heard it before, so I'm not going to claim that I came up with the answer.
No, Minnesota.
Oh boy.
Oh, tune in to Support Ops.
This is my favorite part of every show now.
Yeah, it's shout outs are going to become what's the worst joke you heard recently.
That's
I like
so
it.
much better.
Oh, all right. So Sam, that's our jokes. Please make sure to find Carolyn on Twitter and just send her all of the worst jokes you can possibly think of.
Please, but don't send the answers. Make me guess.
Oh, all right, cool. Last question for the rapid fire. And this is one that I pulled out on Jeff last week or last episode, and wanted to give him time to think about it. So. We've got 99 episodes under our belt now with this one. 99 episodes, which is crazy. So if you had to pick out of the 99, like if it was Desert Island, and you only get to watch one video of all of us for however long it is, which video are you going to pick? Which one's your favorite? We'll start with Chase on this one.
Oh gosh, I should have researched this one beforehand, probably.
Yeah, if there was only, I'll give you a second to think about it. If there was only some kind of product that we all used, that we were all part of, that we collaborated with each other on, and posted things about the show.
Yeah.
Gee, if there was, is it Buffett? No, that's not right.
That's a lot of episodes to have to pick from.
Isn't it? It's 99 episodes. It's just really awesome.
Which episode would I take with me?
We can give you a bit more time. Carolyn, have you got one?
I do, but I also didn't research it. I just went with the one that came to mind. So if I were to look through them, I might come up with a different answer if I were to really remember them all. But the one that immediately came to mind when I saw this was the one about keeping your team happy. And what does that even mean? Happiness, is that your job? That one I think was one of the most fun ones, even though it was kind of heavy, because we talked about some stuff that was really impactful for me. Yeah,
that was one of those where it got real all of a sudden, and then we all wished that you had a joke at the end. But yeah, that was really great. Really one of my favorites, and probably if it's not in the best of Support Ops list, then I'll make sure it is as soon as I get back and can do that. So Chase, you got one?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what number it was, but I think when we originally talked about live chat was an interesting one for me because that was something that I was just getting into at automatic, and I know the rest of us on the panel, the rest of you guys on the panel, have either dabbled in it or are still doing it. So I think for me, especially when I was in the position of doing a lot more live chat than I am now, that was a good episode for me to see, talk about other people's ideas and hear thoughts, and then even get feedback after the episode from other folks as well. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Live chat's always a fun one, and it always comes back up. There's always some company that's like, live chat's the greatest, and then you actually get to dig into it. Mm-hmm. All right. So mine is one that when I picked it, when I originally like pitched the question to the rest of y'all, I didn't think it was going to be as good of a show as it was. Like sometimes like I pick a question and I know it's going to be a good show, and then some of the other ones are like, maybe, I don't know. So and that's was one of those. We talked about the episode was called "Does Language Matter?" And I think we started with kind of this trend of people giving their support team like cute titles and that kind of thing, and then it moved from cute titles into like, well, what's a really good representation title of what we do, and then it kind of like morphed out from there, which is really fun because I still to this day, and that episode was like 45 or 50, something like that. So like 50 episodes later, there are still emails I get where people are asking about, well, what should we call our support team? What kind of name should we have? What should we call individual people? And I always point them back to that one just because it was so fantastic. Hint, language does matter, but it's not the end-all be-all. It's okay. So yeah, that's my probably top five, at least. Probably, yeah. I mean, that's a cop-out. That's my favorite. I mean, that's just one of those fantastic episode. Cool. So we'll have those up in the show notes. We'll have everything else up in the show notes. That was all of the rapid-fire questions that we got, which is really awesome because it's perfect timing. We're right at like 32 minutes in now, which means it's time for my favorite part of the week with these folks. Just not here.
Drum.
It's this week's shout-outs. These are the things that are making us happy, so happy you want to shout them out from the rooftops to let you know you should be doing, buying, or whatever that phrase is. I guess we can addend it now and say if you did hear a good joke, that could be a shout-out. I mean, yeah. I feel like that's just going to happen, that we don't really have control over it now. Like the joke's just going to happen. So that's there. So before we get into it, I will tell you my one other favorite joke, Carolyn, you were mentioning like our dad joke game was going to be good. Did you know that there are going to be millions of people in New York tonight? Do you know why?
Because there are millions of people in New York every night.
Because they live there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. All right, cool. Chase, what's your shout out this week?
So there's a new book by the guys over at the Sweet Setup about the Day One journaling app, which I've probably shouted out before. It's a new little ebook, and journaling something that I've wanted to do regularly, but just haven't for a variety of reasons. So I'm checking out this book and hoping that it's going to spark some ideas and maybe give me some more reason to journal more often, because I think it could be super helpful. So it's like an $8 ebook or whatever, and I definitely recommend checking it out. Day One's a fantastic app as well. So
I swear you literally are like a clone. Like I bought that the other day.
I mean, we have the same name. We have the same brain as well.
Just weird at this point. Carolyn, shout out. What do you got?
Okay, this is going to be another one that you guys complain that is like doesn't actually help anybody who can't implement it, but I can't help it. It's so cool, and I'm so grateful for it every day that I have to shout it out. At the co-working space in New York, I am in New York.
Wow, that's straight up New York.
Sorry. There's an app called Kisi, I guess it's pronounced. It's Kisi. And that's how you get in the door. And maybe this is like totally ubiquitous now that you use Bluetooth on your phone to open doors, and I just had not really experienced it until now. But it is so convenient because I would constantly, back at like in the old days when I had an office, I would always be like, oh, I just want to pop in because I'm nearby, and I don't have my key, but you always have your phone, and it's super convenient, and I love it, and I think about how much I love it every day, and today I was like, that's silly that I haven't given them a shout-out, so that's my shout-out.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. That's one of those where, so when we bought the house, the first thing I was looking at was like, oh, I can get one of those doorknobs that does Bluetooth, and Heather was like, yeah, but what if your phone dies?
Yeah, there's that.
But beyond that, it's really cool, and the future is here. Like, that's why every time we see one of those, like, we'll walk down the doorknob aisle in Lowe's just because I do that. And I'm like, the future is here. It's right there. Yeah. All right, cool. My shout-out this week, little bit of shout-out, little bit of, I'm sorry? I don't know. It's going to be a weird mix. But, so for the longest time, I had a problem in Chrome where it would auto-capitalize, like, anything I threw at it, right? So like as soon as it, like you type the word etc period, and it would think that was a brand new sentence and capitalize it. It was just a pain in the butt. I hated it. I blamed Chrome for it for like months on
Oh, I
end
know where
because
this
I
is
was
going.
convinced, utterly convinced that it was a setting somewhere in Chrome that I could not find. Scoured the internet, couldn't find any answers
Can I
about it.
guess?
Yeah, okay, so what's your guess? What was the cause?
Was it text expander?
Text Expander! It was Text Expander, the
Yeah.
app that I love so much and use time and time and time again. There's this and so okay, so y'all have experienced this evidently. For anybody else that uses Text Expander that did not know this was going on, in Text Expander, under the preferences or options or whatever that little menu thing is, there's a little box there that says auto capitalize your stuff, and it throws everything off because it throws off all my snippets because like you start type a snippet and then it's like, oh, it should be capitalized. No, it shouldn't. So yeah, I eating some crow chowder here because I blame Google Chrome so long for it, and it's not Chrome's fault. And I've made up. Chrome is great now. We're fine. I love using it. So yeah, that's my shout out and the I'm sorry Google for having blamed you for 2 months.
That setting is super annoying, but it's super convenient. The like other half of that setting, which is if you only capitalize the first 2 letters of the word and then the rest is lowercase, that you probably didn't mean to do that, and to only keep the first one, and that is useful.
Oh. See, I didn't even look at that setting. I was so overjoyed to find that one option and be like, yes, this is where it was. Side note, we are talking about like support help sites and everything else. If I Google something like that and put your product, because I remember trying that, putting in like maybe it's Keyboard Maestro, maybe it's like iOS, or I mean maybe it's the new OS X, or maybe it's tech. Like even when I remember putting in Google and the problem and Text Expander, it didn't pick it up. So like make sure your help sites kind of like in Google and being crawled right, because that's my search engine. Anyway,
I told our support team to do that for our product.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those where kind of I don't know, we could probably have a whole show on this too, but like yeah, my first stop when I'm looking for an answer is Google. It's not your product's help site. Surely I'm not the only one that does that.
Nope.
No, cool. All right, so that's our shout outs. That's all of the rapid fire questions, everything else. We'll have I'm going to try to make sure I caught everything. I've been trying to take notes as the show progressed, but I think I got everything to link up and all that in the show notes. We'll have that up shortly. Side note, next week is Thanksgiving, so we're going to take that one off. Jeff is also on vacation next week, and just kind of everything going on. We wanted to make sure all 4 of us could be back for the 100th episode. So that'll happen 2 weeks from now, Monday, November 30th. So make sure to tune in for that one. It's going to be a really great episode, just kind of as we look back over what we've done for 100 episodes now. And yeah, hopefully we'll have another 100 more in our back pocket somewhere. We should just do more rapid fires because that's where we get good questions like the management one from earlier.
Yeah, I love the rapid fires, and I always want to talk more about everything, so more of that.
Exactly.
Good
all right.
questions. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for doing that. That's one of those where rapid fires can always kind of be like fun or not, depending on if we could get good questions, and y'all kind of blew us out of the water this time. All the listener submitted questions that we got were fantastic. I picked the ones I thought we could get through, and I've got the other ones saved as like full episodes too, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks everyone for that. Like I mentioned, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and until we see you again for that 100th episode, have an awesome week.